No, the hand of God is at work. The hand of God is at work in each one of you and your lives. The hand of God is at work in every single human being whom you see today and you will ever see in this life. Because there was an OBGYN whose father was an OBGYN, who was rather renowned in New York and very proficient, but he was also incredibly immoral. He gave up his Jewish faith. He called himself an agnostic. He was hedonistic to the hilt. And this was in the early 60s, before it was even fashionable. And because of that, because of his wanton life, he thought it would be good to promote abortion on demand with no exceptions, because then he could live his life and justify it. And he could encourage other people to live his life and justify it and think that this was a good thing for everybody. Because when you're a hedonist, you think everybody really wants to act like that. And he promoted and created an organization, the National Abortion Rights Action League. He lied. He said there were tens of thousands of women who were dying by back alley abortions, which he knew was not true. He condemned the bishops because he said, you don't want them in your bedroom. You don't want them telling you what to do. And through his efforts in this state, he made abortion legal before the Supreme Court even heard Roe v. Wade. And when they did, they based it on physicians. He was otherwise known as a good OBGYN. He delivered lots of babies. He was, credited with, the finest hospitals in New York. And he also then had the evil genius to conceive of the idea that we don't need to do abortions in hospitals because most doctors don't like it, nurses don't like it, nobody really likes it. It's a dirty business, it's ugly, and he knew it. So he had to kind of push it aside. So he conceived of the idea of doing it in clinics, just freestanding clinics, have women come in and go out. And he created the largest abortion mill in the Western Hemisphere at the time. And personally, not only killed at least 10,000 individuals, but his own child. And Bernard Nathanson was touched by the hand of God, because you could not imagine that this man who led such a life and promoted abortion with such ferocity would ever convert. And nobody could imagine. He was a doctor. He knew what he was doing, because I don't have to describe to you the arms and the legs and the fingers. Every abortion is the same. You're pulling out body parts. And any doctor knows that. They're not looking at little clumps of tissue or anything. But when he saw a sonogram, God touched him in a way that had never touched him before. And it began his journey to convert. And then he stopped doing abortions, and then he wrestled with what he should do to undo what he had unleashed. And so he began to speak, still as an atheist, still as an agnostic, still as a non-practicing Jew. And then he started to do films to show us for the first time The Silent Scream, Eclipse of Reason, which, late-term abortions, he was saying back in the 80s, tens of thousands of late-term abortions. And yes, some of them survived. And he knew they were coming down with medical abortions and other horrible things. And he became more and more adamant to try to do more and more good. And yet the hand of God was still moving him. And eventually, he was baptized by Cardinal O'Connor in the crypt of St. Patrick's Cathedral. And he repented. And he repented because he knew he needed the mercy of God and the love of God, because he could never undo the evil that he unleashed. And when he died, he was tormented and he was still very upset. But his wife was able to say to him, God forgives. God forgives you. And he died with the sacraments of the church. And he was buried from St. Patrick's Cathedral with Cardinal Dolan as the celebrant. To think of how merciful the church is. You cannot do so much wrong that you cannot be free. He excoriated the bishops most of his early life, and yet he's buried from the church. And he still wants and needs our prayers. The hand of God is very much at work. I don't want to ask anything of God. This pregnant mother at our Good Counsel home said to Joanne Venezia, our CEO, and me, when we were doing a spirituality program, and we say, what would you like to ask God for? And she said, I don't want to ask anything of God because I'm just happy that the houses are not burning around me, that I have food to eat for me and my baby who's about to be born, and I'm safe. And it made me want to cry for two reasons. First of all, I don't have to worry about, and I've never worried about, the things that she had lived with, the trauma. And the second thing was the trauma and the pain she must have seen and lived through. And now she's with us. When Camilla called our home, she was terrified because the doctor had told her that every single cell in the body of her unborn baby was deformed and that she should get rid of it. Now, we live in a nation with the most advanced medical technology in human history, the best trained medical personnel ever, and why would anyone ever recommend, because there's never a medical reason to do this, that a child, an innocent, vulnerable child, should be killed? There's not a reason to do it. But it is a spiritual battle that blinds medical personnel and social workers and legislators and judges and police and everyone who is defending and protecting this child sacrifice. But when Carmela came to us, I'll tell you her quick story. We prayed with her. We brought her to a new medical team. And the day her son was born, the fears of the doctor were unfounded. He had a little hole in his heart. It required 2 surgeries, which are very common these days in the first 2 months of his life. And by the time he was a year old in our daycare, running around like every other toddler, you couldn't even tell he ever had an operation. I don't say it's a miracle, but I know God blessed Carmela's love and faithfulness for her child and blessed us to see that and to know that. And the hand of God is at work, because we can't do anything at Good Counsel without you and without many, many other friends and supporters. And there's so many people I want to thank and share that love with, but you'll just get a very general, I thank you, I love you for being here, everybody who came up on stage and everybody who supports all that we're doing. Because the pro-life movement is against killing the innocent, and it's always been for and continues to be for helping every single mother in need, and even the fathers of the children, whether they're standing up to the plate or not. And those who've had abortions, we know, and we have to tell them, and you have to share with them, that God forgives, because God can forgive anything. He forgave Bernard Nathanson, and he can forgive us our sins, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we've done. And so, together, we must continue to defend, protect, and pray for life. And it doesn't matter what the governor does or the president does or the legislators does. Every day, you and I have a calling to pray and to fast and to work, because this is a great, great evil, and it's not going away easily. And you could see that the other side, the forces of evil, are fighting very, very hard. But they can do nothing unless we don't stand up and fight for them. And when we do, we will see that one day and we certainly hope in our lifetimes, but even if it isn't, because there's so many pro-lifers who've lived and worked their whole life for the last 50, 60 years and haven't seen this day, but it will come when, again, life will be cherished and protected and nurtured because of you. The hand of God is with you. God bless you, and thank you very, very much.